Hey everyone, Chad Wehrs Machine and Racing Products. Today we're going to talk about our suspension load sticks. So we're really excited now to introduce our load sticks that come in a really cool laser cut foam box. So that'll help protect it on the way to you while it's being shipped, and then allow you to keep it in the trailer and not get it damaged. So when you receive your load stick, one of the first things you're going to want to do after you unpackage it is you take the stick, and what you need to do is get it on the race car and determine where the load cell needs to be lined up. So when you have it on the race car, you're going to want to time this out so the cable misses your shock mount and your spring, and it works effectively so you don't damage this cable. So if you do damage the cable, you need to send it back into us and we can fix them pretty easy. When you get the load stick, it is calibrated, so you don't need to do anything other than turn it on and go from there. So you don't need to do hanging any weight on it. We calibrate them all here. We buy them, we shorten the cords up so you don't have 20 feet of cable. I think we got a 3-foot cable on here, so it makes it a lot easier to navigate. And we now sell them with these cool hooks that hook on your front bay bars, or you can set it up on the hood, whatever works for you, but these hooks are a lot nicer than the bracket that used to come with the load cells. So once you get the heim timed out, so the load cell is facing the way you want it to face, you need to Loctite and jam all the threads so that they stay tight. And then you're going to want to put a little bit of grease on the Acme threads there, so that when you're pulling your suspension in motion, you have some lubricant on the thread so it doesn't gall up. We offer the load stick in a ratcheting style and a non-ratcheting style. This is a ratcheting style, which makes it real easy to compress your right front suspension and get your data. So once you get the stick all ready to go and you're ready to get some data, the easiest way to start is we recommend doing it with the car in the air on jack stands with the right front tire and wheel off. So when you have your race car scaled and ready to go, you're going to have a center to center measurement on your front suspension, scaled, ready to go to the racetrack. We're going to take them numbers right down the center to center distance. Then with the car in the air and the right front tire or left front tire off, then you would turn the stick on, zero the stick, install it on the corner that you want to compress the suspension to your center to center, which is your ride height scaled number, and that's going to give you a number. That's going to be your static load for that corner, left front or right front. Once you've established your baseline number of your scaled number, that load is what you're going to use when you go to the racetrack. So when you're at the racetrack and you want to change springs on that particular corner, you simply take the spring out, put the new spring in, hook the stick up, go to your center to center measurement, and then crank the screw jack till you get the load that you had at your scaled number, your benchmark load. Then the race car is ready to go right back out on the racetrack, and you know that your ride height's going to be good because your load was perfect, and that's the most accurate way to change springs at the racetrack. Another way to use the load stick is when you get to the racetrack, you want to go out on the speedway and get data. So you want to focus on your down number, which would be your right front max travel or your left front extended travel. And one of the easiest way to do that is with a Sharpie marker. So you simply take a Sharpie marker and paint the shock shaft. And then when you go out on the speedway, you'll run your session and that'll make a wear mark on your shock. So you can't go off of the shock rubber. If you pull on the speedway and you go over a hump or the track has some character with a hole, you'll get a false reading on that shock. But the dust line or the Sharpie line is never going to lie to you. So when you come back to your pit stall, then you're going to want to have a couple of your buddies push the car down to that dust line or the Sharpie line and get that center to center measurement. Once you have that center to center measurement of on the track after a run, whether it's a practice session, a heat race, or a feature, then you can come in and get that center to center measurement, put the car up in the air, take the right front tire and wheel off, put the stick on, and then you can compress your right front number to where you are running at that speedway. That's going to give you your down number. So then you can take that, put it in your notebook, and if you were terrible that night, you're going to want to document that. If you won the feature that night, document that. So this is where the stick becomes a real learning tool, where you can really learn why you were good one night, why you were bad the other night. So it's simply another tool to build data and build your notebook. Another cool part of using a suspension load stick is spring rate. So every spring acts different. You can put 5 manufacturers' spring in the right front of your race car and get 5 different compressed load numbers. So it's another cool way to compare, and get that in-between rate. Instead of going from a 550 to a 600, you could find something in between there. So, and different ramps on how they coil bind through travel. So there's a lot of data you can learn with the stick. Don't be scared of using it, and don't be scared to learn and build your notebook and understand why, when you get to a certain racetrack, why you were good. Now it'll tell you why you were good. Once you get the Heims timed out and you're ready to use the stick, you're going to want to always be careful. This is a dangerous tool. You're smashing suspension with upwards of 1,200 pounds of load on it. So don't have your fingers in there in case something goes wrong. If you loosen something up, anything would break, things happen. Make sure you understand this is a dangerous tool. Don't lay underneath the right front or left front suspension when you're compressing it. So just keep your limbs out of there, keep the stick greased up, and you won't have any issues. We also offer a dual suspension load stick, which gives you center to center and load, and allows you to zero the center to center and the load. So this is a step up from our standard load sticks, and has the same functionality as basically our Ultra Force manual smashers. So you have a digital display where you can zero the load, and then you have an active center to center distance, and then it allows you to zero the load once you have a load on, and zero the distance so that you can do incremental moves on the race car. So this is a very nice upgrade from a standard stick. Lets you do a lot more functionality. These simply go on where your shocks are. They have a hex, and then the potentiometer moves like a shock next to it to get your center to center distances. So this is our high-end version load stick, also available. One of the most important things to keep in mind is when you're building your notebook and comparing data, just please compare it to a chassis brand that you run. So you can't compare chassis A to chassis B, stock lower versus fabricated lower. So just try to focus on your own data, your own notebook, pay attention to what you feel, and use this tool to gather data to help you win races. Shop online 24/7 at wehrsmachine.com. Give us a call, 608-486-4343. Go to your local speed shop and request Wehrs Machine. Make sure you follow along on all of our social media platforms, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and stay tuned for more product updates coming soon. Thank you.